Alright, what's going on everybody? Anime Ramble back with another episode. Today we will be discussing Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 2. Now, if you remember where we left off from the last chapter, we were introduced to all of the new Konoha 12, where everybody is, what they're doing. The main focus was Sarada and her trying to once again talk to Shikamaru, how she has been for the past 3 years, about Boruto, allowing him back to the village, allowing him to tell his side of the story. They had back and forth, yada yada yada. They're walking, we see what's going on with Damon, we see what's going on with Ida. They're still there camping out, being squatters. And then we get down to like the nitty gritty where Code actually makes his move on the Leaf Village, right? He's been placing his claw marks all throughout the village, how he's been getting into the village and to get these claw marks down. It's possible he's always had one that was never found and he just teleports in and out, placing more and more and more. The idea is that he would then summon his claw grimes through those secret claw marks scattered throughout the village and launch a full-scale invasion. So when the end of that chapter rose and Code actually does show up and he says he's done running, he's done, not running, he's done chasing Boruto as Boruto is running. He's just going to pop up on Konoha, and hopefully Boruto eventually, after all the chaos and mayhem ensues, will appear to try to save the people that he loves, right? Well, that happened sooner rather than later. The full-scale invasion never actually went down. Boruto was there within seconds. How he heard the conversation, don't know. How he knew Code was there, it might be an Otsutsuki thing, right? It might be a karma thing. He might be able to sense his presence. He might always know where he is. Regardless of that, Boruto pops up. So now we're at the beginning of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 2, and this chapter predominantly centers around Boruto and Code having nothing more than a standoff, right? Boruto is telling Code, hey, look, take me to where the Ten Tails is being held and I'll let you live, right? Very direct instructions. Like Boruto is that character right now that has gone through such a shift change over the past 3 years, being on the run from everybody, not being allowed in his village, having to live God knows where, losing Sasuke, his eye is gone. Of course, I mean, he's strong as shit, but over the course of these 3 years when he was seeking that power and learning all of these things, it's hardened him, right? So he's a no-nonsense type of person in this series versus what he was in the, first run of Boruto. So when Boruto pulled up on Code and landed on his face, he tells Sarada, hey, go and help the rest of the Konoha 12 because there's still civilians out there that need your help. And Sarada's like, you sure? And Boruto's like, yeah. So after she leaves, that's when Boruto was like, look, tell me what I need to know, take me where I need to go, and I'll let you live. Code, for all of the losses that he's taken, he still has this cockiness about him, which has to be studied psychologically because it just doesn't make sense why he's so confident. Maybe against Boruto himself, he thinks that he can take him, obviously, but I mean, he's never won before, so I just don't know where the confidence actually arises from. Boruto is able to actually deal with about, 5 or 6 of the claw grimes, very impressively, like, you know what I mean, like, to no small feat did he destroy these claw grimes that are said to be something around like Jonin level or something like that, and he does it all with the sword. No ninjutsu, no genjutsu, no karma or Otsutsuki power, just, straight hands, straight weapon mastery. He did his thing. I'll give it to him, but these claw grimes they're just not doing it for me, right? I don't know if it's a me thing or what, but I would have thought that they would have just been a little bit more imposing. The only real claw grime that seemed to have any real type of fight in him was the special claw grime that had the rasengan. But considering he was up against Kawaki, that was very short-lived. He got kicked, he got one shot by the karma mark. It was a wrap, right? The rest of the claw grimes, even if they're said to be Jonin level, they're just not showing it. I think in some parts Kishimoto is watering down the whole Jonin aspect type of deal that we got going on, because the title of Jonin is like, it's a higher rank than most people actually think. Most ninjas don't get to the Jonin level. Either they stay tunings after passing the tuning exams, whether it's on the first, second, or third attempt, or they gain like special Jonin status, which means that they do one thing exceptionally well, but they don't do everything well enough. And I know I might be looking into this a little bit too deep, considering the fact that the claw grimes are just fodder. That's what they are always intended to be. They're along the same lines as the white Zetsus. But unlike the white Zetsus, they have the ability to teleport. Now, the white Zetsus had the ability to mimic other people, right? They could transform into other people, and they infiltrated the medical tent when Sakura was trying to heal the wounded soldiers, and she had to deal with them that way. But because these Claw Grimes have the ability to teleport, you would imagine that there would be a massive influx of Claw Grimes into Konoha, but that's just not the case. Kishimoto seems to be using the Claw Grimes as a way to quickly establish the new Konoha 12's power level without actually having to show them doing anything out of the ordinary. We never watch them train to any extent, right? They just come back in, much like the OG Konoha 12. They just come in, oh, they're fighting these villains, oh, they're that powerful, right? It's essentially the same thing. Code goes even as far as to say like the amount of Claw Grimes that he lost today at the Battle of Konoha was just a drop in the bucket, right? So, well, if that's the case, then you should have brought more in to actually set this thing off and make this a real party, but he doesn't do that. He just trickles them in one after the other. When one goes down, another one replaces it. Instead of when one goes down, 20 replace it and actually get the Jonings and Chunings and Genin, get them on their feet, get the Hokage on his feet. Well, they can't because Naruto's out of the equation, but you got Shikamaru there, you got to get him active. Right, he is the Hokage, he's in line of defense, he should be there when shit actually hits the fan, much like what it's doing now. And considering what he said to Boruto, because Boruto makes the claim in this chapter, he was like, you have no idea the true horrors that the Ten Tails can actually inflict. Which is kind of strange considering the fact that Boruto knows nothing about the Ten Tails at all, so he's in one of those situations where it's like, okay, well, what do you know about the Ten Tails? And it's possible that Sasuke actually told Boruto about the Ten Tails, about the 4th grade Shinobi War, everything that took place, because Sasuke was on the front lines, he was right there in the thick of it each and every single step. So he would know the true horrors of the Ten Tails, and it's possible that he told Boruto that within the first year of them being out on the run, leaving the Leaf Village, being pursued by Code. That's one option. The second option, which is incredibly popular but just unproven right now, is that he can time travel, which he would have went back to the 4th grade Shinobi War, watched it all unfold, and then went back into the future, well, went back into the present, so I should say, and now is taking on this whole entire crusade that he has, trying to clear his name, trying to defeat Code, and trying to find his father and his mother again. Regardless of that, Code still says that what he has planned for the world is a fate much worse than whatever the Ten Tails can produce. So if that's the case, I think he should have actually went all out, right? You have Code in front of you. Like, this is the same situation that I had back in the OG run of Boruto, where Boruto tries to leave the village, Kawaki pursues him or something like that. Code had Boruto and Kawaki alone in the forest. I'll try to find the manga panel that I'm talking about. And he's just standing there watching them bicker back and forth instead of taking them to where he needs them to be so that he can get this done. He needs them both. They're there. Take them both. In this situation, you need Boruto. It doesn't matter if you think you can take him one-on-one. Get like 20% of your Claw Grime army and bring them to the village so that way you can make this a little bit more difficult and challenging. Had he brought in 20 Claw Grimes instead of 5, maybe, right? He's there, he can make it happen almost at an instant, but you know, he just chooses to take the difficult route, which is probably why he has a losing record to literally everybody in the Boruto universe currently as it stands. But we do find out something interesting about the Claw Grimes as it pertains to what their actual mindset is. Something that the White Zetsus didn't do, but the Claw Grimes do. And that's if they bite somebody, regardless of whether they're an Otsutsuki or not, they will turn into a tree. Right, they'll start sprouting. If they do bite an Otsutsuki, they'll turn into a divine tree. The roots will sprout wherever they are, and that tree will begin to bloom and grow into what it is that they need, so that way they can consume the divine fruit, become an Otsutsuki god, move on to the next world, so on and so forth, rinse and repeat. That's their plan. So to make that make sense, if a Claw Grime had bit Kawaki or Boruto in the Leaf Village, the divine tree would just sprout in that village, and they would have to deal with it. I don't know if you can actually cut it down. There is no infinite Tsukiyomi effect that's inherently attached to these types of situations, so I'd imagine Code would have to defend the tree tooth and nail until it's finally bloomed. And if that was to be the case, then of course he would summon the vast majority of the army, but that should have already been the plan from the start, you know what I mean? And it's just making things a lot more difficult for Code. The fact that he isn't taking Boruto seriously at all, the fact that he is, it just doesn't seem like he's all too serious about this entire situation. Like, the urgency isn't there. Imagine if during the 4th grade Shinobi War, Obito and Kabuto only released 5,000 of the White Zetsus, and when those 5,000 were dead, then they put out another 5,000, and then when that 5,000 went down, another 5,000 comes out. it wasn't as impactful as the 10,000 versus 100,000. I think that was the breakdown of the 4th grade Shinobi War. 10,000 joint Shinobi soldiers versus 100,000 white Zetsus, right? I think that was the breakdown or something to that effect. I could be wrong. I'll find it out. But that wasn't the case. It was like 50 claw grinds here, 50 claw grinds there. And when they were all defeated, oh, here's another one. Oh, there's no end to them. Yeah, which means that you should have brought more in. But sadly, this invasion was short-lived, as you could expect, or at least to some degree, because at the very end of the chapter, Boruto unveils a new rasengan. It was only a matter of time before we got a brand new rasengan. Now he has 2 unique rasengans to his name. He has his lightning vanishing rasengan, where he equips his lightning nature chakra to the rasengan, and now he has the rasengan uzuhiko. Again, it appears to be another invisible rasengan, so there might be some lightning nature chakra to this particular rasengan, but the way it swirls around his hand, the way it swirls around him, there's something different about how this particular rasengan operates. And sadly, this is where the chapter ends off for chapter 2. It just ends with the unveiling of the rasengan uzuhiko. So we will find out more than likely next chapter, at the very least chapter 4. They could just stand around for the next chapter and just talk some more. This is going to be an interesting talking point. I wonder how many chakra natures you can actually add to a rasengan in the future. Maybe if he puts some lightning nature chakra in there, but he also adds some water nature chakra that he also has, because Boruto knows water ninjutsu as well. You could get like a gale style rasengan, a laser style rasengan. I think those are what the 2 combinations of water and lightning create in the Naruto universe. The possibilities are endless, and his jutsu arsenal is deep. It's much deeper than Naruto's ever was, actually, right? You have Boruto knowing the flying rasengan, which we already know that he knows, but for whatever reason Naruto could never actually learn that jutsu, even though it's just a jutsu that requires putting a seal onto something, throwing it, and then you transporting yourself to that seal, right? Something that in theory is easy, but it requires an unbelievable amount of chakra control, dedication, and prowess, one of which we just simply do not know yet how Boruto managed to accomplish by himself. I'd imagine he couldn't actively stay in not just the Leaf Village, he wouldn't have been able to actively stay in the Land of Fire, the entire country. I don't know if they had people actively pursuing him outside of the Leaf Village, but I would imagine, considering he is on the run for potentially killing the Hokage Naruto and his wife. So we will know in the upcoming chapters how this is going to play out. If you made it to the end, thank you. If you are new, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. Lets me know you rock with the content that I brought out on the channel. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment on the video your thoughts about what you think is going on and how this is going to impact the village moving forward. Is Boruto actually going to get a chance to talk, actually get a chance to clear his name? What is the actual makeup in the chakra components of the Rasengan Uzuhiko? Because it has to be something. He has to be using some chakra nature or a combination of 2 chakra natures. Maybe it's a Rasengan with, it can't just be that, right? Because that would imply that he's a sage. And I'm not willing to say that just yet without reading more. I think I'm just behind in chapter 6, but we'll see in the next upcoming chapters. But that is all I have for you today. Like, comment, and subscribe, and like always, until next time, I'm out.